Welcome back to the Lingua Loom. Today we're going to start another episode of Semantics series, which is Synonymy. So, they say these words mean the same thing, but do they really? True synonym is one of the rarest and most debated phenomena in all linguistics. So, before starting the topic, please do like, subscribe, and share, and do comment. So let's start this topic, the puzzle. Can two words even mean exactly the same? So this is one of the debated topics in linguistics, that can two words actually mean the exact same in meaning? So every thesaurus lists synonyms, words you can swap in for each other, but the moment you look closely, differences appear. Big and large feel nearly interchangeable until you try. She has a big heart versus she has a large heart. Something shifts. The question of whether true perfect synonymy exists is one of the oldest debates in lexical semantics, and the answer tells us something profound about how language works. So let's look at it. First, the definition. What is synonymy? Two words or expressions are synonyms if they have the same or very similar meaning. Synonymy is the lexical relation. So synonymy is the lexical relation, and synonyms are the words that are called synonyms. So synonymy is situation, whereas words are synonyms if we're talking about same in meaning. It describes how words relate to each other within the semantic lexicon in terms of meaning overlap. So linguists distinguish between absolute or true synonym. Synonym where two words are identical in meaning in every context, register, and usage. A neuropartial synonymy where words share core meaning but differ in connotation, register, collocational preferences, or contextual distribution. So these are one of the two types. Absolute or true synonymy. Another one is neuropartial synonymy. So the critical question is, does absolute synonymy actually exist in natural language? The overwhelming scholarly consensus is almost never. Languages are too economical. If two words mean exactly the same thing in every way, one of them would eventually disappear, develop a new meaning. The existence of two words is usually the sign that they serve different communicative purposes. So this shows that two words can never mean exact the same meaning. So we're going to discuss this in debate. It is very important as regard to preparation for exams or anything or assignments T. So synonymy is a semantic relation in which two or more expressions share the same or very similar conceptual meaning. Absolute synonymy, complete identical of meaning across all contexts, is widely considered to be extremely rare or non-existent in natural language. Let's discuss part 2, which are types of synonymy. Synonymy is not single uniform relationship. Linguists identify several distinct types of them, ranging from theoretically perfect, which are almost non-existent, to practically useful, which are imperfect. So understanding the type of synonym matters a lot for accurate language use. The first one is absolute complete synonymy. True meaning identity, which are extremely rare. So two words are absolute synonym if they can be substituted for one another or each other in every context without any change in meaning, connotation, register, collocational behavior, or social implication. Every dimension of meaning is identical. Most linguists argue this is essentially non-existent in natural language. The closest candidate or technical or scientific pairs where precision is enforced by convention. So a possible example of sodium chloride, also known as NaCl in chemistry, then myocardial cardial infraction, heart attack, then debatable register difference for this heart attack, then fortnight, which is 2 weeks, so near absolute in many dialects. But these are scientific and medical terms, not everyday uses. Some you use heart attack most of the time. These are used by medical professionals. Fortnight is common to weeks, that's why it's near absolute. Then let's move to near partial synonymy. Shared core meaning, different nouns. The most common type, two words share the same central concept but differ in connotation, register, stylistic level, collocational patterns, or contextual distribution. You can often swap them, but not always, and not without some shift in meaning. Near synonyms are the good reason writers agonize over which words to choose, which is simply word choice. Every word in a near synonym cluster has its own personality, its own feel, and its own appropriate context. These are example: big, large, begins, taught, and also commence, then ask, request, demand, sick, ill, look, gaze, stare, glare. So they are near synonymy. Then the third type is cognitive synonymy. Same truth condition, different sense. Two expressions are cognitively synonymous if they have the same truth condition. If one is true, the other is true in the same situation, even if the different sense or feel. This is more technical or logical definition borrowed from formal semantics. So crucially, cognitive synonyms can differ in their sense while sharing the same reference. Connecting this concept directly to Frege's sense and reference distribution. From episode number 2, you can check episode number 3 to understand the sense and reference distinction, which is the example is given below. Morning star and evening star, same truth condition, both refer to Venus. Then bachelor, which is unmarried adult male, same condition but very different stylistic weight. So these are cognitive synonyms. The third type. Let's move on to the fourth type, paleosynonymy. Near synonym with subtle difference. Similar but distinguishable in careful use. Coined by D.A. Cruz. Paleosynonyms are words that are near synonymous but whose differences become apparent under careful scrutiny or in specific context. Unlike near synonyms, paleosynonyms may have their differences denied by speaker in casual use. But the differences are real and consistent. These terms highlight that near synonyms relationship is actually a spectrum, not binary. Some word pairs are closer to other and the distance matter for precise communication, like forest, woods, similar but different size and register. Sofa, couch, near identical for most speakers but different in formality. Then angry, furious differ in intensity. So this shows that some synonyms or paleosynonyms boy because when you use them it depends upon the intensity. So let's compare synonym pairs. First, big, large. Okay, I have to scroll a bit more. Big word, first word, then large, second word. Denotation of considerable size or amount, whereas denotation of large is of considerable size or amount Okay, well, saying connotation is informal, warm, figurative use is natural, big heart, big deal. Whereas connotation of large is more formal or precise, more clinical or technical in feel. Then big register is informal to neutral, whereas large register is neutral to formal. So collocates, big heart, big deal, big brother, big fish. Whereas collocation of large is large quantity, large scale, at large, large screen. So verdict is in near synonyms, the substitution test fails in idiomatic use, big deal, but large deal. So a big deal is incorrect, whereas large deal is correct. So big heart is figurative. Warmth, large heart sounds like a medical report. Different collocational authorities. So here, their near synonyms differ occur in collocations very firmly, which shows that how they differ. And that's what make them near synonym, not absolute synonyms. Let's look at another one, big commands. Begin and commence. Then denotation is to start or initiate something, whereas for commence it is to start or initiate something. It's same denotation is same. Where connotation neutral, widely usable, natural in most contexts. So for commence it is formal, elevated, carries bureaucratic or ceremonial weight. Register is neutral, informal, where it commences formal and ceremonial. Begin collocation for it is begin the meeting, begin to understand, begin again. Then for commence collocations or commence proceedings, commence for the ceremony will commence. So here, these are near synonyms as commence in informal speech sounds stiff and pompous. The film begin at 8 is natural as is widely used in informal language, whereas the film commence at 8 it sounds oddly formal. So register is the key difference here. Let's look at ask, demand, and request. So ask denotation to put a question or make a petition, whereas denotation is request, polite ask, demand, insist with authority or force. Connotation is neutral, whereas connotation for request or demand it implies politeness, and demand implies force or authority. Register is neutral, whereas register for request is polite and formal, for demand it is forceful and authoritative. Collocation is ask a question, ask for help, ask your friend. The collocation for request is request permission, request a refund. And for demand is demand answer, demand justice. This shows that their near synonym clusters. Ask is neutral, request add difference, demand add authority or aggression. This will encode a social relationship between speaker and learner. So that's how you do the analysis of synonyms. Let's look at this one. Sick and ill. So denotation is affected by physical or mental disease, whereas ill affected by physical or mental disease, but same in denotation. Connotation is sick is more informal, figurative use. American English prefers sick, whereas connotation is more formal. British English prefers ill in formal context, stronger sense of serious illness. Whereas sick register is informal, mostly in American English usage, and ill is formal and medical, especially used in British English. Then sick collocations are feel sick, sick day, sick job, sick of waiting. Ill or seriously ill, fall ill, terminally. So near synonyms with register and dialect differences. British English I feel ill is formal, American English uses I feel sick. Crucially, sick joke and sick burn cannot use ill, showing different idiomatic territories. So this is what we have done analysis of these four. You can just do the analysis of these two as a test, or you can just comment that what is their synonym analysis. Let's move forward, which is synonyms and on the spectrum. So within a synonym cluster, words are not equal. They form a gradient of intensity, formality, or emotional loading. So let's check its glance. So glance, a very brief, quick look, a fraction of a second, implies an sustained attention, often sneaky or accidental. Example is she glanced at her phone. The duration is minimal, no emotional loading is implied. Let's look at these are the degree of looking. First we discussed glance, now look. The neutral base of the cluster, the direct act of seeing. The duration unspecified, emotion unspecified. Look at this, is the unmarked default instruction. Let's look at gaze. So gaze a long sustained look, typically with admiration, wonder or longing. You gaze at sunset, at the beloved, at stores. Well, these are show that as an example when you gaze at sunset. Obviously, you're doing it for admiration or wonder. The connotation is dreamy and positive. Duration is long, emotion is warm. Then stare. A long fixed look, but unlike gaze, staring is often socially inappropriate. Don't stare is a social warning. It implies rudeness, shock, or intense fascination. Duration is long, socially it is negative. Then let's look at glare, a long, intense, hostile look. The glare is to stare with anger or contempt. This word adds the emotional hostility to the duration of staring. She glared at him, communicates anger without a single word of speech. So these are how synonyms differ in degree. Let's look at the degree of being afraid. Uneasy. Let's scroll a bit. Uneasy, the mildest degree of fear. These are degree of being afraid. A vague feeling of discomfort or worry not yet fully formed into fear. Uneasy about the interview. No clear threat identified, just a background discomfort. So let's look at worried. A more focused anxiety. There is something specific to be concerned about. Like worried about the exam, still manageable, the person is functioning, but the concern occupies the mental space. Let's look at afraid, clear, recognized, fear. This is stimulus, something or someone causing the fear. Example, afraid of heights, afraid of spiders. Say it is real, not acknowledged. Then let's look at terrified, intense, overwhelming fear. More than afraid, the emotion is dominating. Example, terrified of the storm. So physical symptoms are present. Fear is hard to manage. Let's look at petrified. So they're ranged according to their intensity. This one is in the lowest degree, and this one is the most highest in degree. The extreme and literally turned to stone, from Greek patros, so frightened that one cannot move or act. Total paralysis. Paralysis of response. Petrified is the strongest word in this cluster. The fear has become incapacitating. So you use words depending upon the situation, but they are synonyms, differ only in the degree, which makes words sound more terrifying or enjoyable. Sometimes like in happy, ecstasy, like that. Let's look at true versus near. So linguists use a set of diagnostic tests to determine whether two words are truly synonymous or merely near synonymous. The most powerful distinction is substitution test. If you can swap two words in every sentence without a change in meaning or acceptability, they are true synonyms. If the sentence break, they are near synonyms at best. So let's look at them. True synonym and this is near synonym. So true synonym passes all tests. Extremely rare. Two words are truly synonym if they are interchangeable in every context, same denotation, same connotation, same register, same collocational range, same stylistic values. So the substitution test passes everywhere. Example candidate is sodium chloride and NaCl. Add 5 kg of sodium chloride, or if you use add 5 kg of gram of NaCl. So they're both the same. So she seasoned the food with sodium chloride, odd but acceptable. She seasoned the food with NaCl, equally odd. So verdict, near absolute synonym in chemistry. Register still differs slightly, but still near, so it passes a bit. So let's look at near synonymy fails in at least one context. Two words are near synonymy if they share core meaning, but the substitution test fails in at least one context. A sentence sounds wrong, awkward, or changes meaning when one replaces the other. So test is big, large. She has a big heart. Well, if we substitute big with large, she has a large heart. It sounds clinical, like a medical condition that she's having a heart which is large in size. So big deal, idiom works, large deal, idiom breaks completely. So verdict near synonym, context sensitive, not interchangeable everywhere. While here the sodium chloride is a true synonym of NaCl, which sounds old in everyday usage, like she seasons the food with salt, that is mostly used, but if you're using a sentence and if some chemistry using, then it's fine. And this is a true synonym, but they're rare in nature. Let's look at context sensitivity, which is why synonyms are context dependent. Near synonyms feel identical in some sentences, but in other, only one sounds natural. This context is the key evidence that they are not truly the same word. So let's look at begin, start, commence. The ceremony will commence at noon. Commence highly formal register fits perfectly because the ceremony is a formal occasion. Try swapping it. Let's commence dinner sounds stiff and unnatural. Let's start dinner is natural. Same core meaning, different register fits shows they are near synonym, not true synonyms. Let's look at big, large. She has a big heart because this is idiomatic use meaning generous and kind-hearted. Try substituting. She has a large heart. Certainly this looks like a cardiology report. The idiom only works with big, so when swapped with large, obviously idiom fails. Then ask, request, demand. I must demand an explanation. This is example has a demand. The speaker is exerting power or entitlement. Try ask. I must ask for an explanation. This looks polite and neutral, no power implied. Well, if we change it with request, I must request an explanation. This is formal, slightly differential. Three near synonym expression, three complete different social relations between speaker and listener. This shows their near synonyms. So let's look at synonyms in Urdu. Urdu is extraordinarily rich in near synonymy, particularly because of its dual inheritance from Arabic or Persian and Sanskrit or Hindi. The same concept often exists in both registers. So let's look at the first one. Bunny is pony. Register synonymy. Pony is everyday and used in informal and domestic, whereas be used in poetic, formal, or poetry or classical prose. Same meaning, different register. The second one is chash, ankh, both same in meaning. Ankh is used in everyday conversation, where chashme is used in poetry or formal prose, then integral or mode. Directness versus softening. It means that mouth is talk and direct, blunt word for that. Integral is respectful synonym when used when announcing someone's death formally. Khubsurat Haseen, both the same in meaning, but Khubsurat is warm, general, widely used, beautiful face, like beautiful day, meaning Khubsurat Din, whereas Haseen is more intense, associated with physical or romantic beauty. So, the next part is why true synonym almost never exist. So that's basic to answer the question. The near absence of true synonym is not coincidence, it is a predictable feature of how language evolves and functions. Several principles explains it like this. Looks like economy principle. But let's first look at the first one, which is language tends to eliminate redundancy over time. If two words mean exactly the same thing, one of the three things happen: one disappeared, one shift meaning, or one developed a specified or specialized use. So language are too efficient to carry dead weight. So this means that if two words have the same meaning and same everything, then one has to disappear so that other can stay. The next one is register difference. Let's scroll it. Yes. Register differentiation. When two synonyms enter a language, often through borrowing, they tend to occupy different registers. English has buy, which is old English and informal, and purchase, which is French, Latin, and formal. Urdu has Hindi forms for everyday use and Arabic and Persian forms for formal or literary use. So this shows the register differences causes elimination of true synonyms. Then collocational specification. Each word even words with nearly identical meanings develop preferences for different company. Rancid collocates with butter, bacon, and meat. Rotten collocates with wood, lock, and teeth. You can say rotten lock, but not rancid lock. That would carve out different collocational territories. So this also shows that why there are no truths in it. Then historical and cultural depth. Words carry their histories. Die and pass away may describe the same event, but die has centuries of blunt Old English behind it. Passes away carries Christian and Victorian era sensibilities about death. Two words, and that history is part of the meaning. So this shows that economy principle, register differentiation, collocation and specifications, and historical depths and cultural depths play a huge part, showing that why there are no synonyms. So no two words are even exactly synonymous in the sense that each word carries its own unique history, its own collocational habits, its own register, and its own emotional charge. And that total profile is always unique. So let's come to an end part, which is knowledge check. We have 6 MCQs for today. The first one, what is the best diagnostic test for deciding whether two words are truly synonymous? Check if they have the same number of syllables. Well, we're not discussing phonetics. Check if they appear. Well, this is not true. The substitution test. Well, we have discussed it. The substitution is group words that try two words, interchange them, and see that if they're truly synonymous or not. Then she has a big heart sounds natural, but she has a large heart sounds clinical, like a medical condition. What does this prove about big and large? They're true synonyms, but they mean the same because they mean the same thing in most contexts. They are near synonyms. Well, try substitution test like if you change big and large, obviously the idiom fails. So this is the correct option. They're near synonyms. Then the third one, in Urdu, pani and aab both mean water. What type of synonym do they illustrate? Absolute. They're perfectly interchangeable. Register-based synonym pani is everyday and informal. While they discuss it, while aab is poetic and formal. Then the fourth one, what does economy principle explain about tree synonym? That, well, GDPs, we're not discussing them. Then borrowing is not discussed. The language preference short, we're not discussing about one word length. Then that language eliminates redundancy over time. So this is the correct option. And let's look at rancid and rotten both mean decayed or spoiled, but rotten luck is natural while rancid luck is not. What type of difference does this illustrate? Connotative, well, we're not discussing. Register, well, not to. Semantic feature, we're not discussing. Collocational differences. So we have talked about that rotten can come with or collocate with luck, but rancid cannot. Say collocational differences there. Then sixth, two expressions are said to be cognitively synonym if they sound similar when spoken aloud. They belong to the same grammatical category. They have the same truth condition wherever one is true and the other is true in the same situation. That is the correct option. So that's it for today. I hope you understand it. Please do like, subscribe, and share, and do comment. It means a lot. And that's it for today. Thanks for watching. Have a good day.